Hey, good morning. So, welcome to the fourth LDB session with one of my good friends, Dr. Manish Sharma, who's going to be speaking on strengthening yourself. So, how we can find ourselves and understand who we are in this, especially in this day and time. So, Manish, let me hand it over to you.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? All right, gentlemen, my fellow brothers. We're Sigma Beta Rho, and I feel like we genuinely have to try our best to educate our younger brothers and make them the men that they should have always been. The last session, Brother Corleone was able to so beautifully articulate many points, which I would just like to very briefly touch on. Our goal should be to take our younger fraternity brothers and create strong, self-secure individuals who are focusing on striving to master their physical, emotional, and intellectual domains. I would just like to briefly go over some pearls and ideas that I've thought about with respect to life. We can certainly create a lecture series, later down the line where we specifically delve into any, of these tenets. But just for now, just want to give you a brief overview, maybe just a taste. Question: how do we elevate ourselves as individuals? How do we create brothers that other people want to be around? How do we become strong and self secure? How do we excel in class and internships and relationships within our chapters with our friends? Let us learn to change genuinely from the inside out, not regular change, true change to become that man that we should be. Let's dive into this. So if you're spending some time with some of your friends and say a teacher were to insult you, or say a paper you handed in wasn't a good paper, or a coworker would say that you didn't do a job to the best of your ability, to put that mildly. So there's two ways you could respond to that. You can certainly go and cry, emit some emotion, or you could just punch them in the face. What do you do? We have to learn to become so strong and self-secure that that ground underneath your feet cannot be moved. There's nothing anyone in this world, that they can say to you that will even waver you on the least bit. Nothing. Nothing. That ground underneath you should be unshatterable. Let me say that again. There's nothing that anyone can say to you that will move that ground underneath you. Schools teach us, information, some
However,
useless, some useful information. But we as a fraternity, we have an obligation to teach our brothers how to lead and how to act. So let's say, Swadesh, you encounter, you know, another fraternity brother who's, let's say he's vertically challenged. He's short. Some people may pick on him, but if he's confident in himself and he knows and accepts that he's short, it won't bother him in the least bit. He won't cry, he won't sulk, and he won't punch someone in the face. You guys go to parties all the time. You have these big bouncers who stand in front of the party. If you, Sadosh, if you went up to one of them and called him short or weak, what would he do? He would laugh. Why would he laugh? Because he knows it's not true. My point to all you younger Sigma Beta Rho guys is, we have to be 7 feet tall in all facets of our lives. 7 feet tall, confident, strong inside, able to make fun of ourselves, secure. You make a mistake, you apologize, you move on. A weak person can't apologize because he's defensive and worried about what people will think. You even look at a group of young fraternity brothers that could potentially be weak on the inside, that are insecure, hanging out in a group setting. And one of them comes up to me, says, "Hey, Manish, why are you so fat?" Now, how does a strong, self-secure man respond? What do? I say, "Yes, I'm the fattest guy I know." I grab my belly and I laugh. And you know what happens? The conversation is over. If I accept I'm fat, or I don't care that I'm fat, or I don't care what that person is saying, it's just banter. All around, I'm not allowing this conversation to affect me in any way. However, long term, you may decide if you don't want to have people like that around you. Because as they say, you evolve to become the average of the people that you surround yourselves with. And to go into that as well, getting into an argument with someone is not worth it. An argument involves two people. You look at some of our younger guys, or even me and myself, younger ages, we get into road rage. Something like that should never happen. You know why? Because that is not having any control of your emotions. Before I go any further, let me establish one thing. Men are equal to women. Masculine equals feminine, but men are different than women. If two men are having a controlled discussion, it's okay. But if you lose your cool, that is considered feminine. Men have control of their emotions. If you yell, you scream, you get mean, you get angry, you are in essence acting feminine, and that's not healthy. The exception is if something goes against a core value of yours, like a term, like someone trying to cause harm to a loved one. In that case, you have to step in and you do what you have to do to protect them. I mean, recently you saw people talk about this Will Smith, Chris Rock story. Now, if Chris Rock was about to physically harm Jada, then Will Smith would have to do what he had to do to protect his wife. But that wasn't the case. And that's why Will Smith was wrong. Do you have any questions, Swadesh?
No, sir.
No. So, I mean, what's another area that all of us just could, briefly improve on? Something about conversation. I feel later down the line, I could do a whole lecture on conversation itself. But we need to learn to conversate better. Once again, if you conversate better, it'll help with ladies, other men, cohorts, other fraternities, administrative jobs, staff, family. How do we conversate better? Certainly, one thing to remember is you have to be a good listener. You have to ask good questions. Listening. Let's get into that. So let's say me and you are having a meaningful conversation. Let's say it's a date. Let's say it's with your professor or at your job. You have to listen with intent. Let me ask you a question. So this, you like football?
I don't mind it. Yep.
Yeah. So let's say you're a huge football fan, right? And it's a Super Bowl. You bet $20,000 on this game, and that's
Mhm.
all the money you have. If there's 30 seconds left in the game and the game is tied, how intently would you watch that game?
My eyes wouldn't leave the screen.
Exactly. Imagine the kind of focus. Imagine how you'll watch every play, listen to every call, watch every second. Now you imagine doing that in class or at work or in a specific conversation with someone. Sometimes we talk to people and you sometimes your mind wanders, you forget, you think about something else. But imagine you are so present in that interaction. You are so fully focused. You're so in tune with the other person. That person will feel heard, understood, and valued. That person will enjoy speaking to you more than anyone else. That person will value that interaction with you. They will want to genuinely be around you. Now, always talking is not always good either. Silence is sometimes good. You know why? It gives a chance for the other person to speak. It gives them a chance to think. It gives them a chance to formulate what they want to say so they have the space to speak. It opens them up for conversation. Now, what's the next step in conversation? Asking good questions to truly acknowledge what they are saying. Do you know what are OEQs? Open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are used to get someone to talk even more. This allows them to open up and speak. People love to talk, and if you give them an opportunity to talk while you truly listen, that person will want to speak to you more. They will want to be around you. They will love to talk to you. And I'm saying this could specifically relate to a date. Any coworker, any family member, potential pledge, other fraternities, neighbors, all that. So what's something else let's talk about? It's being a man of your word. Now, once again, this is something I could do a whole lecture just on this specific topic, but I just want to go briefly over it. Being a man of your word is something that's very important in this world. Living your life with integrity. If you say you're going to do something, you do it, or don't commit to doing it. If you can't do something, then don't commit to it. If you say you're going to do something, you have to stick with it. And certainly there are other things that also we could remember, always trying to be yourself, don't try to be someone else. When you try to copy people, you can only be the second best version of yourself. You might be accepted in certain circles being an artificial version of yourself, but your uniqueness is what is eventually going to earn you respect. Now, another important thing that I noticed among our younger fraternity brothers, at least when I was in school and graduated afterwards, and as we get older, I think it changes. Bad mouthing people. If a friend, a family member, or coworker confides in telling you something, they valued you individually enough to tell it to you. You know what? You're supposed to carry that secret to your grave. There was trust in them telling you that. You are a strong, self-secure man that can carry that to your grave. You don't want to be that person that gossips about it and breaks that trust. You don't want to be that kind of person. If you run and tell people negative things about other people, they will run and tell negative things about you. And not to mention, the people enjoying the gossip you are telling them will be the first to lose respect for you. Once again, someone tells you a secret and you tell someone else, even though it's exciting telling that person, even though that person will get excited about hearing that information, in the end, they will lose respect for you. And you know what? They won't trust telling you things. Leadership is a language through action. So, guys, you have to remember, you know, another important thing that we have to, recall is gratitude. In our me, Prati, Dr. Agarwal, a few of us guys, Dr. Andrews, we have our own study club and we read books and we talk about different things. And, another certain topic that we could go over is gratitude. Every morning when you wake up, you have to be grateful for all that you have the ability to experience in life. That's a powerful way to start the day. You should always have a mindset of abundance. Change the words you use. Rather than focusing on the loss, look for the win. You should have a wins journal. Celebrate your wins. And always remember the power of context. The glass is not half empty, it's half full. Surround yourself with strong, self-sufficient men. And I feel this is something very important that we have to teach our next generation. There are many things that people learn in school. There are many things that, trades that we learn, professions that we learn, but we don't learn how to be men. And I would like to create a program that tries to help our younger guys become men in this world. Any questions, Sodesh?
No.
Yeah, I mean, basically, these are a few pearls that I would like to eventually elaborate on.
Yeah.
And I think these are important things that we should try to go over. But this is basically a brief outline, and I don't want to make it too thick and too dense. I think something light and something where we can actually call in individual brothers. My goal would be even to go on a chapter level and somehow create, little open sessions with undergraduate chapters, and it could be a live Zoom meeting where we call in individual brothers and we keep it very light. We keep it humorous, but once again, our goal is to mentor and make these boys into men. And I think right now, you know, there's a lack of that happening in the world, at least from what I see in the next generation. And certainly more than that, me being 41 years old now, many mistakes, many things that I didn't learn till I was 30, 35, or even 40, that I would like to impart onto the next generation. And unfortunately, I feel some of our parents, they're big on studies, big on everything else, but they just, don't have the wherewithal to teach us what it is to be a man in this world. But basically, that's my lecture. You have any thoughts, Prati? Any thoughts for you, Swadesh?
Yeah. I'll let Prati go first. He just on.
Oh no, thanks. So one of the things you mentioned, Manish, was this concept of gratitude. So why do you think that's like an important aspect that we should have in our lives? And do you have any couple of examples or techniques we can use to express our gratitude or even
Sure.
receive gratitude from others?
Once again, so I don't know if Swadesh, if I'm a dentist, right? Two offices. And I've noticed my teenage patients will come in, they're focused on Instagram, they're focused on clothes that they're wearing, they're focused on who they're going to hang out with. 20s, 30s, they're worried about, working, getting married, 40s, 50s, they're making money, 60s, 70s, they're looking into retiring. And I always have patients come in, I ask them, how are things going? They're stressed, I'm this, I'm that. it's very common that I'll have 90, 95-year-old woman or man come into my office, sit in my chair, and I ask them, how are you doing? And they say, great. I say, I'm sorry. I said, I am just glad to be alive. And I feel that's a mindset that a lot of us in our younger years, we just don't think about. You know, we're stressed about the common things in life and we're so focused on everything that's happening. We forget about the simple things. I mean, I'm listening here, I hear birds chirping, and you think about people who don't have the ability to hear. You see people who don't have the ability to see. I mean, you have paraplegics sitting in a hospital that can't walk and can't move their hands. And you know what? They're happy to be alive. So I just feel like we're always on a mindset of there's just so much to be done. There's so much that has to happen. There's so many things that I need to do. I need to make money. I need to work. I need to do. I feel like it's very important to start the day and just think about the simple things that you have in your life, that many people might have as well. But instead of focusing on the things that you don't have, focus on the things that you do have. And then certainly you can go on the next step to create a list of things to do. I call that my integrity checklist. But basically, I create a list of things to do that day and I get those things done. And when I get those things done, I celebrate getting those things done. Otherwise, we just become a do society where we don't celebrate anything and we're not grateful for everything.
Yeah, just to kind of touch off of that, I mean, I see how taking things for granted also comes into play, where when you take things for granted, you really lack the gratitude that should go hand in hand with it. And just to give a little brief background about myself, I crossed Spring 19 at Rowan University in New Jersey, and
Okay.
I did this program last year as well, and reaped the benefits, immense benefits of just forming these networks and connections with older alumni, brother, which I felt lacking, as a colony at Rowan University. We're not associate chapter yet, but the pillars that you were mentioning, where it's important to converse, important to honor your word and provide that level of commitment where you say you'll do something, you do it. I think those are very important pillars that all formative colonies and associate chapters should hear, because I'll give you a personal example with my own colony. I know how you brought up the tenet of gossiping, right? Like, forget even gossiping. Speaking the honest truth sometimes will affect other people in a way where they'll leave you alone. And I think that's a big thing, which wraps around to what you're saying about how we should kind of learn to be men, in the sense where it's okay to, again, metaphorically, to be alone. Because when you do honor these pillars of being honest, of conversing, and being, giving that commitment, you tend to hurt unintentionally other, like, sensitive people feelings per se, and hurting that will inevitably cause consequences that you don't necessarily know how to deal with, which is also a big factor that inhibits people from acting the right way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I have to say one thing, in terms of conversation, I think one important thing to do, I've discussed this with Prati as well. As you said, what you just say, a great way to respond to something like that, just in terms of conversation. Swadesh, if I understand you correctly, and then I repeat what you just say, and you can offer some input as far as how I feel. But I feel learning to conversate is something that's very, very important and it's lacking. We're a text message, email kind of society, and conversation is something that's often lacking. But a great way to respond to that and to pivot and to also see that I hear you, I understand you, I value you, everything you're saying, is to basically quickly repeat what you say and then say, how do you feel about that? And then you go more and you start talking more about it. But you're 100% right. And like I said, we have fantastic brothers in our chapters. Some people, they could be sensitive because they're not strong and self-secure, and that's fine. I was bullied when I was young, but if I knew the right way to respond, I feel I would have done much better. And certainly, um, beyond that, beyond even, being sensitive, being able to learn to conversate, being confident, I think all that will translate for the rest of their lives. These guys are going to grow up and get married and have kids and have grandkids, or maybe not, or have tenants or have workers or start a Fortune 500 company. And if
Yeah.
you can know how to talk to your doorman, to your CFO, to your accountants, to delivery people, to your servers, and remember their names and remember meaningful conversations. Do you know how much all those people will value that interaction, and how just on a simple level your business will immensely grow? So I think, and no one teaches you this. Do they teach you this anymore?
Absolutely. No, no, they don't. No, it's all learned through experience and trial and error.
Exactly. And as far as I'm concerned, college kids are like, just one generation past high school. So I shouldn't
Mm,
expect them to be men at this point. 18, 19, 20, 21. How old are you?
I'm 22. Yeah.
There's no way I knew any of this when I was 22 years old. And
Yeah.
it would be a disservice to me, and Prati and the fraternity, if we can't offer that to you. Now, some people will
Yeah.
take it. And honestly, if I give a lecture and one person gets it out of 100, I'm happy. I changed one person's life, and I don't care about the other people. So
Yeah.
once again, I know this is just a brief, rough draft of what I have here, and certainly there could be a lecture on every single thing individually. But if we can somehow implement something like this into even our young graduates like you or our chapters within our schools, I'm all for it. And I don't mind. I would do these lectures if you ever wanted me to. And like I said, we could elaborate, make it longer. We could put some curse words in there. We could get it exciting. We could just, engage them. I could call them out. I could say, you stand up, what are you going to do now? And I think these are important things to, impart onto our next generation.
Yeah. I think that's a that's actually a very resource, like a valuable resource that I would consider, because not only was I experiencing this in my own colony, but I was very well connected with the chapters of New Jersey because we went around a lot while I was doing my undergrad, and my line brothers would express the same sort of feelings that I was feeling in their position while they're currently going through it. So I feel, if I could coordinate this with Pradi, with yourself, and when the semester starts, if we can find a time convenient for you where we set up like even just a chapter level lecture, as you said, and then move that up to regional, it would genuinely help. I know my chapter would benefit, my colony would benefit from it immensely, because these are the types
Absolutely.
of, not just conversations that we need to have, but exposure to alumni, that would speak in a different lens and hit them differently.
Absolutely. And once again, Prati knows I'm one to call people out. I'll tell people, sit up, stand up, I'll punch you
Yeah.
in the face. It doesn't matter to me. I'm very outspoken. But I would definitely say Prati's the godfather when it comes to all this. So I appreciate
Mm,
him even inviting me and asking me to do something like this. But if definitely he would like to do it, you could even take my contact information. You could text me, you can
yeah,
call me, and any
I
guy
would
from
love
your
to.
chapter or colony, I do anything for Sigro. You can definitely text me, call me, we could set up something, but Prati would be the one that would know best on how we could do something like that.
Absolutely.
All right, Prati, so I guess we'll go now. You have any questions, Prati?
No, one thing I did want to bring up that you were, or I guess continue what you were saying, was this idea of respect, right? Like,
Yes.
a lot of times, especially in our lives, we look to the people who we think are going to help us in our lives, right? So we'll show respect to them and go all out, trying to placate them or make them feel special because we want something out of it, or we're looking to try to emulate them. But you tend to forget all the quote unquote little people, right? The people, you know, the people who pick up the trash on the street, or the people who are driving your bus, or driving the train, right?
Yeah.
That kind of respect shows that, or lack of respect, I guess, almost gets to, I think, Swadesh is your point, right? Of taking it for granted, all these activities. So if we were, if we are to be positive members of society, not just the fraternity, but people, just our community as a whole, that's such an important aspect that we have to really like imbibe or accept, that
Mm,
everyone else around us, they're just as important as us.
sure.
And it's not that, yeah, you might have some more relationships, better relationships with other people, or maybe someone is in a position of authority, or, you know, more learned than you. So you want to try to take their association or understand from them. But that doesn't mean that you should eliminate or minimize the relationships you have with your peers or people that are junior to you. Like that respect level should be equal amongst everyone.
And I'll take it even a step further. I would say, you know, me as, you know, Prati, and I'm sure you saw this in our own chapters, colonies, there were some brothers that we didn't want in our fraternity. Some people that were like, you know what, we don't want them to pledge. And I would say I maybe shunned them away. I would ignore them. I just decide to minimize conversation with them. But listen, throughout it all, it's important for us to stay respectful, even to those individuals that we don't want in our fraternities, you know, those people we don't want to call our own brothers, those people that we see their shortcomings. I'm not telling you to give them a chance for the fraternity. I'm telling you, just still carry out a cordial, respectful relationship with that person. And same thing even with enemies, you know? There's no point in despising and hating someone. I mean, you keep it cordial. You may not keep them in your circle, but you still show them some decent level of respect. And it gets easier as you get older to see how relationships change and things change. But 100%, I do agree with you. Everyone from the top to the bottom. And I think I recall some famous actor talking about potential women that he dated. He would take them to restaurants, and if the dates were not nice to the servers in the restaurant, he wouldn't ask them out for another date because he felt the way you treat that person is the way you treat everyone, and he wouldn't want to spend his life with someone like that. So I 100% agree with you on that. And I think, you know, I think a lot of our brothers do know that, but sometimes they forget, and I think it's important to remind them. Any other thoughts, Swadesh, Prati? Anyone else here?
Sigma Beta Rho. Yeah, I completely agree. Manish, if you don't mind, I would love to take down your contact information, you know, just to
Absolutely.
ideally coordinate that in the future.
Absolutely. You know what, Prati, if you want, you can text him my phone number and do that.
All right,
Yeah.
perfect.
I could
Yeah,
definitely do that.
text him my phone number.
Perfect.
100%. Prati knows I'm all hard for Sigro. I'll do anything for the organization.
Awesome. Well, that was very, thank you. Thank you for bestowing these pillars. You know, I do remember this session from the last year when I did this program. So employing it before I left my university, and then also kind of taking this approach with now that I'm in the corporate world, you know, my attitude will never be where I disrespect anybody, because as you said, the janitors for me are equal to the CEO when I shake their hand. But just having that reminder is always beneficial. So I do appreciate that. And on that note, I hope I see you at the convention if you can make it, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll be in touch. Prati, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll continue
Thank
this
you,
next
everyone.
time.
Yep.
All right, beautiful.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right. Take care, everyone. See you.
Bye-bye.